I have run the same flower stall on Savins Cobble for 31 years. Same spot, same cart, same 3 folding legs that only stay level if you kick the left rear one twice before you set the pin. I know every crack in the pavement between my pitch and the harbor gate. I know which neighbor takes his tea on the step, and which one argues with his wife through the shutters on second-day mornings. And I know that the Vel Terra doctrinal assessors always come from the harbor end because that is where the transit registry sits, and they like to start from a place of paperwork. I knew all of this on the morning I found Veyron behind my cart. It was 05:10. The harbor bell had not yet rung. I was setting out the moon blooms. They have to go in water before the air gets warm, or they fold at the stem, and nobody wants a folded moon bloom. When I heard the sound, not crying, not any sound a hurt thing makes, just the very small sound of something trying to take up less space than it already occupied. I looked behind the cart. She was wedged between the wheel housing and the lower crate rack, knees pulled to her chest, blue-white skin the color of old frost on window glass, silver hair stuck to the side of her face where she'd been sleeping against the wheel, amber eyes, very large, very still. Pointed ears, the tips just clearing the top of the crate. She was holding a piece of transit cloth so tightly, the resettlement coordinates stitched into it had pressed a red lattice into her palm. I looked at her. She looked at me. I said, "Good morning. Can you wait here one more minute?" Then I went back to the front of my cart and filed a biological welfare discovery under Colonial Compact Code Section 7, Subclause 3, cross-reference to Corridor Health and Safety Accord Article 14, and I had it time-stamped and transmitted to the compact relay before the harbor bell rang. 31 years on the cobble teaches you one thing above all others. The document filed first is the door nobody can open from the outside. File it, stamp it, send it, then deal with everything else. The harbor bell rang. I went back behind the cart and crouched down to her level and said, "There, now, are you hungry?" She stared at me with those amber eyes for a long moment, the way small things do when they are trying to calculate whether the outstretched hand is safe. Then she gave one small nod. I gave her a moonbloom, the eating kind, the ones that taste faintly of salt and warm metal, which sounds terrible and is actually quite good, and she held it in both hands and ate it slowly while I set up the rest of the stall. She watched me work. She did not try to run. After 20 minutes, she crawled out from behind the cart on her own and sat on the bottom crate rung with her feet hanging off the edge, and watched the cobble wake up around her with the particular attention of a creature cataloging everything it sees. The street filled. The bakery opened. Old Sesserath from the cloth stall 2 pitches down argued with his supplier about yardage, as he does every morning, as he will be doing until one of them dies. And then, at mid-morning, the Vel Terra doctrinal assessors came in from the harbor end. There were 3 of them. Gray robes with the blue piping, document cases, the flat expression of people who believe their mandate is a force of nature and not a piece of paper like any other piece of paper. They were working down the street methodically, checking faces, checking storefronts, consulting the registry lists on their tablets. Every shutter on the cobble came down. I watched them close, one by one. Sesserath pulled his door in. The bakery dropped its inner grate with a noise like a small defeat. The tea seller on the corner walked into his back room without quite running. The whole street went quiet and flat, the way it does when something official comes through looking for something it has already decided to find. I turned to Veyron, who was behind me now, back behind the cart with her hands around the post. "Stay right there," I said. "I'm going to talk to some people. I'll probably be a few minutes." Then I turned to face the harbor end of the street and waited for them to reach me, and I smiled. There is a thing that 31 years of selling flowers on a colonial market street teaches you, and it is this: cheerfulness is armor. Not performance, it has to be real, or they smell it, but genuine, iron-spined, relentless good humor that requires the other party to keep climbing over it to get anywhere. You cannot be aggressive with a woman who is agreeing with everything you say. You cannot rush a woman who is already talking faster than you can interrupt. And you cannot conduct an official search of a registered welfare hold while a woman in a flour-stained apron is earnestly asking you whether the blue piping on your collar is regulation or a personal choice, because she has always found that particular shade to be very distinguished. The lead assessor was a tall man with a mouth like a closed hatch. "Good morning," I said, before he could open it. "Lovely day for a constitutional. Are you looking for something in particular, or is this more of a general appreciation of the Cobble? Because I'd recommend the south end. The stonework there is really exceptional. They did a repair 3 years ago that I think holds up very well architecturally." He told me they were conducting a biological survey under Doctrinal Mandate 7. "Of course," I said. "And I imagine you'll want to see my welfare discovery filing. I have it right here. Time-stamped at 0508 this morning. Colony relay confirmation attached. Cross-reference to Article 14, which I always think is the tidiest way to handle these situations. Don't you? The relay number is CRF70042CLL, in case your records haven't caught up yet. Would you like me to read it out, or do you have it on your tablet already?" He looked at his tablet. He looked at me. "The child is listed as under active welfare hold," he said. "She is," I said pleasantly. "Discovered at 0504, documented at 0508, relay confirmed at 0509. Sorev resettlement coordinator has been notified. They're routing someone from the district office. I expect them before noon. In the meantime, she is eating a moonbloom, and I believe she has found a beetle under the crate, which seems to be entertaining." I paused. "Would you like a moonbloom? The eating kind, not the decorative. People always assume they're decorative." The second assessor, a younger woman with the look of someone who had not yet decided whether to be embarrassed by this, said something quietly to the first one. The first one said that an active welfare hold superseded Doctrinal Mandate 7, pending resettlement coordination. "Yes," I agreed. Subclause 9 of the Corridor Health and Safety Accord makes that very clear. I have always appreciated the precision of the drafting on Subclause 9. The Assessor's Bureau was actually consulted during the revision, if I remember correctly. It was in the Colonial Gazette. I kept the clipping. There was a pause. "We'll need your contact information for our report," the lead assessor said. "Of course. Orvith Call, Savins Cobble Pitch 14, 31 years registered. Stall license OC447VSC. I'll spell the surname. C-A-A-L. 2 A's. People always want to put a U in it." They wrote it down. They left. I watched them go all the way to the end of the street and through the harbor gate. Then I turned around. Veyron was standing behind the cart, holding the transit cloth in one hand and the beetle carefully in the other, watching me with those amber eyes. "Gone," I said. She looked at the end of the street, then back at me. Then she held the beetle out, very carefully, cupped in both palms, offering it the way small things offer things they cannot name the feeling behind. I looked at the beetle. I looked at her. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it completely. The Sorev coordinator arrived at 11:40. A practical woman named Oren Sell, clipboard, warm coat, the expression of someone who has done this handover many times and still has not found it easy. She checked the welfare filing, confirmed the relay number, and knelt down to Veyron's level on the cobblestones. They spoke in Sorev. I don't have the language, only a few words, but I watched Veyron look at the transit cloth and look at Oren and look at me, and whatever Oren said made the child's shoulders come down half an inch. They left together at 11:52. Veyron looked back once, from the end of the street. I waved. I found out 6 weeks later that the Velterra Bureau had flagged my stall license for a compliance review. A pretext, and not a subtle one. The paperwork cited 3 infractions that required you to read the municipal code from a very particular angle to see as infractions at all. The license was revoked on a 4th day morning. I set up a folding table in the same spot on 5th day. The left rear leg still needs kicking twice before it levels. The moonblooms still have to go in water before the air warms. Sesarath still argues about yardage every morning. I lost the cart. Veyron is somewhere that is not here, and not cold, and not a space behind someone's wheel housing, and I have decided, 31 years into this particular education, that this is the better trade.